Welcome to Digitized Spotlight, your lens into the best builders in consumer crypto. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Winnie. And on this series, we explore some of the latest trends emerging in consumer crypto and chat with those building the forefront. Today, in this episode, we dig into the intersection of Farcaster, memes, agents, and the world of Clanker.
We chat with Alice and Jack, who founded Clanker, an autonomous agent for deploying tokens. We also bring on the founders of ecosystem apps Clank.fun, a marketplace and launchpad for Clanker tokens, and Native, a digital city and social network powered by Clanker. Let's get started.
Hey, Alex and Jack. It's great to have you on this episode of Digitized Spotlight. Since launching in early November, Clanker has become almost a launchpad for ideas, memes, tokens, and companies on both the Farcaster and Base ecosystem. What started out as a very straightforward mechanism for token creation has quickly evolved into a new system that's generated over $16 million in fees I saw today. And I think Clanker launch tokens have generated 1.4 billion in volume, facilitated over 40,000 token launches, and generated fees that have gone back directly to the creators. I think there's about like 150,000 unique traders, both in and out of Farcaster. And you guys just wrapped up your first ever Clank hack. What a crazy couple of weeks. How do you guys feel?
Jack, how you feeling? I feel
like I feel good. I feel good. I should say I feel great. But yeah, no, it's been super exciting just to see the organic growth. We were not expecting this at first, but everything, we're kind of just in the bonus now. Alex, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm kind of joking because Jack was on this weekend. I was at a bachelor party, rare weekend off, which was great, but I feel great. I mean, everything that's happened since early November has been kind of a whirlwind. It's been kind of shocking. And then now I think we're getting into a more regular pattern. We've hired, we have employees and even a third co-founder. So I feel like things are both exciting and there's so much work to do.
Yeah, crazy weekend to be off in terms of like meme and token creation on the topic of that. For those of you who don't know, we're recording this on January 20th, the day Trump got inaugurated, and also the week after both him and Melania launched tokens.
It's so wild to me that that's just a thing, that like the president can launch a meme coin. I don't know. Jack, did you buy Amanda?
I bought, and then I sold, and then well, the thing is, like, I was confused because like everyone on X, and I feel like all the Solana kind of talk is on X, so kind of that's where I gravitate towards to hear this info, or kind of like the broader, I don't know, crypto space news. And everyone's like, yeah, they own 80%. And then there was kind of a rug event where someone sold a bunch. I think it was, I'm assuming it was the dev, but I think that's totally like unprecedented in the sense where, on a traditional project, no one would buy it, just seeing those tokenomics. But, I think coming from the official account of, it's insane.
We're in so crazy 4 years.
We certainly are. Also, like, people's initial reaction was, this is a hack, right? Like the president tweeted, I launched a meme coin, and then suddenly people were like, no, I'm not going to buy. It's got to be a hack. And the coin's going up and up. And that to me was a really funny kind of emblematic moment for crypto. It's like, we've gotten the legitimacy of literally the president of the United States is launching meme coins, and we don't even believe it when it happens. Because like, does he even have like an offshore entity for this? Like, what's the legal structure of the company that launched these coins? It's just it's so funny. Anyway, I bought too and sold too early.
Yeah, it's definitely wild times, and I'm gonna like ask you guys later about like where you see this heading. I'm maybe a creator token mania is coming, and perhaps on Clanker. But let's like get the audience kind of situated. Can you talk a bit more about what led you to launch Clanker? What did you end up? I know you like experimented a bit on Farcaster, so like what got to this initial idea? Would just love to hear more of the origin.
Yeah. I feel like the origin story of Clanker was Jack and I separately working for a year on Farcaster, kind of iterating and experimenting. And to be completely honest, kind of failing. I had the product that I built prior to Clanker was, I was calling it like a social DEX. So it's a trading environment with social data and profiles and interactions. Complete flop. Like no one used it. No one thought about using it. I learned a lot though. And so Jack and I met. We met on his boat. He ended up kind of by chance inviting me out to join a crew of Farcaster people on Jack's boat. And at the end of that boat ride, I said, "Do you want to build something together?" And Jack said, "Yes." Thankfully, and I didn't put a lot of thought into it, but um, we then started working together. And Jack ships really fast, which is like my favorite thing, and not something I could find a lot. And we ended up after experimenting a bit, we were like, let's work in person for a week and try to ship a product. And so over 5 days, we built a bot that deploys coins, very similar to the Clanker that you see today, but just an earlier iteration. So there's like a huge amount that came before that, but it really was just kind of exploring with these social primitives, on chain.
And then to add to that, the initial idea wasn't to be a launch pad or, AI. It was meant to be basically a rogue agent because there was like Ethernet that was hot and kind of
Yeah.
started to see like the intersection of like AI working on like blockchains. And so what I did was like Alex had the idea was like, let's make an agent that goes rogue and creates a token and says, we lost the private key. It's, a lot of like the kind of the entertainment purpose of having this rogue agent that kind of goes crazy and makes a
Yeah,
token.
we
And
thought it
then,
would go viral if a
yeah,
bot appeared to go rogue. And then Jack was kind of building out the infrastructure for like the minimal things that I could confirm we'd need for this. And I was starting to understand, this is going to be a lot harder. I'm basically going to have to like lie a lot. There's going to be a lot of like deception or kind of, it would be like a more of a
entertainment.
plot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And eventually it was, Wednesday night, and I was thinking, we just can't not ship this by Friday. That was the rule. And we were testing the agent, and I was like, damn, this is a halfway decent launch pad. And I said, dude, like maybe if you build out a front end, we just launch this as a product and see what happens. And then, we went live, and I feel like right away we knew that it was kind of hitting. Prior to launch, we had said if the Clanker did 40K in volume, we would continue working on it. And that's like total. We were anticipating getting that on a couple of coins.
I remember the moment it was like another agent used Clanker to launch Lum, and that was like a
Yeah.
big moment. And that was like, whoa, without the agents to agents launching a token was crazy. How did you guys come up with the name Clanker? I'm curious because I actually love it, especially now it's like become a whole like people you guys all clank and it's really resonating.
Yeah, I do. I love the name Clanker. I didn't know what it meant, and I saw people posting Clanker prior to our launch. And I think in particular, I saw Horsefax, who's a member of the Farcaster team, posting about Clanker. And I asked him, like, Horsefax, what does this mean? Like, and he didn't respond. Jack ended up telling me that Clanker is kind of a slur for robots. It's like a bad
It's from
word for robots.
it's from Star Wars, and basically it's what the clones call the droids. And it was like a Solana like meme coin at the time. And yeah, I just remember like being in like Lisbon, with my girlfriend laughing at this, and then when we were working together, we were like, should we just? I don't know. Yeah. Then Alex got the handle, and it was all down there. But like now, it's like kind of like a term that Like people say, is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it an adjective? We don't really know, but it's kind of taken on its own legs
I like the
more.
word clanker because it implies a little bit of like disrespect towards the bots, and people glaze agents way too hard. They like think that these agents are going to instantly change the world, and we're very interested in agents. We like to build on them, but it's good to be a little skeptical of any new tech that people are bidding up, 100x.
Yeah, agreed. I think one thing I personally love about Clanker is the ability to like launch tokens directly within the cast and like in your feed. It gives you a lot of context to kind of the lore, the story, what's happening. How do you guys think the interface kind of evolves this year, and what do you guys have cooking in some later iterations? Like, is there a world where Clanker is an agent that launches more than just tokens? Is there a world where it expands beyond the Farcaster ecosystem to like say Twitter? I know that you guys
Yeah.
will have run into some issues there. Yeah, tell us more.
I mean, I think for me, the most exciting part of this kind of like agent mania has been how it's forced me to rethink interfaces, and that has actually influenced our roadmap a huge amount. So um, we started with Clanker because we wanted to bring meme coins right into the social feed. I think it's like weird that coins come from financial applications, but then claim to be memes kind of after the fact. That just seemed kind of like corny and cringe to me. Um, and so Clanker made it really easy to do that. I also think that agents are just like, you know, conceptually, it's easier to cross domains. So our product was initially just the agent and a front end. And now we have our smart contracts living in, I think, 4 or 5 interfaces, more every week. And that means that, users have quite different experiences launching these coins. There's Stream, which is a streaming platform that you can launch a Clanker from. You can launch one with our bot on Farcaster. Stream, there's one called a Clankpad that is a channel token launchpad. There's Clank.fun, which is just a web app built by our friend Nick. And that's kind of told us that maybe Clanker is somewhere in between like an agent and an app and a backend, more protocol-esque vision. And it's influenced, where we put our time. So I think we're going to see a huge amount of iteration on the interface layer. Like Banker is a good example. Banker is providing swaps in natural language on Twitter. So you just tag the bot and say, swap this coin for another. And that is such like a different UI UX than we've seen in crypto. And I think we're very excited to lean into it.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think kind of what we've realized is that the kind of anchor to a lot of these coins are the cast creation or the announcement of this, this token launch, whatever it may be, kind of as the validity check to see what people are buying. And that's all now on chain, which is really cool. And we've been able to see, I mean, even, yeah, basically just people having like tying their social credibility to a token is something that's kind of a cool new unlock. And yeah, so we're excited to see what comes next as these kind of communities emerge around coins and kind of the social reputation and having the implications of it. But yeah, like I think our one of our ideas was like right after we launched this, we're like, now we need to do in-feed swaps. But the beauty was like Banker was already there. Banker came up super quick. Like
Yeah.
we didn't focus on the UI, so Clank.fun was created, and it's kind of like that trust or like the public kind of branding of it, where it's like the more products there are that stem because of this, it's the more kind of the ecosystem grows, which is super powerful. And I think it's only possible because it's blockchain based.
Well, and maybe to add on to this, like we were really like, that was our immediate plan after launch. We said, let's build swaps next. But then Deployer, we just like started talking to Deployer. And I think one of the reasons that Clanker has been powerful, or we've gotten some attention, is that people have been able to bootstrap meaningful amounts of money with these coin markets created through our agent. And Banker is a great example. Deployer has been building for a year around Farcaster. He's had a live coin for much of that year. That coin has received, significant attention kind of locally, but it also never really sustained over time at higher prices. And Banker has allowed Deployer to get a ton of attention on his product, which is a great product and super interesting. So this kind of combination of coin, product, and attention has been super powerful. And we've seen this happen kind of no matter if it's like an artist or a dev. And I think that has guided our building more than anything else, is just trying to create better markets, get more attention, and then iterate on those two over and over.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful context. One interesting thing I think you brought up was like the social graph component and like kind of where these creators fit in. Like some are devs, you said some like artists. Like who are the creators of Clanker? What kind of incentive is there for them to use Clanker? And any behaviors you're seeing so far around that?
Well, man, I mean, we have, I think, over 42,000 coins launched. So we're really seeing every spectrum, from everyone on the spectrum, from an artist like Jan or Jack Wilds or Toady Hawk, who makes podcasts. So like content creators, artists, to devs who are building, utility-based products, bootstrapping initial liquidity. Nick from Clank.fun has told us that, the trading fees on Clank.fun basically replaced the seed round for him. And so he now is able to maintain ownership over his product and, just build a good product and not really think about anything else. We've seen anons use anonymous platforms to create coins. We've had VCs that we've been talking to who are kind of like doing due diligence on our product launch coins. I think that there's nothing new about coins. Like, they've existed. Tokens, coins, that's the bedrock of DeFi. It's the bedrock of crypto, really. It's like what most of our users do. But with the social graph, Jack put the FID, so like the user account, on chain the first post where the coin was launched, and some other kind of Farcaster data. And that's enabled people to immediately see if a coin is kind of spam, impersonating someone, or actually has real provenance. And I think that has actually been really powerful. The snipers learned how to use that so fast. And it's a reminder that like the market is so efficient. The market is smarter than we are in so many ways.
It's really interesting because like Clanker is for everyone, because you can be like Derek from Native, where his FID is under 200 and he's kind of a serial entrepreneur that's built robust products before in startups, very venture focused. Or you can be a completely new account like based fart coin, where their FID, they have like 0 followers when they launched, and they're one of our biggest tokens now. And I think it's like like the varying things from base fart coin to native to we're seeing industry or like creative industry or whatever companies like Opsys coming and launching a token for that, but which will have future utility. But yeah, I think it's just the true kind of unlock here, I think, is that maybe before this cycle, people had to pay a developer, thousands of dollars to create a token contract, have it audited, and now it's free, and the time to launch has gone to zero, and now that they have the token, they can focus on what's next, building a community, building a product, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think what I love about that is like I know they need to have a certain NANAR score in order to launch a Clanker token, which is quite unique. And for those who don't know, a NANAR score is almost like a Farcaster credit score, you would say. And I feel like for me, like the pump trenches feel like a very wild place. It's very PvP. A ton of people with like no social graph or like they have no history, whereas Clanker kind of flips that model upside down. And I think in doing so, it changes the culture and the types of projects that are getting launched. Even the first 2 months, like you said, there's like venture-backed companies that are getting launched. There are real devs that are bootstrapping their seed round through their fees. Versus, I feel like Pump, it took a while for them to have like a few like large, real companies that started as a Pump coin. So I do think that's quite interesting to kind of see.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I think that we did a couple of things that were kind of to us they seem small or common sense at launch, but they were actually very different from other launch pads. We didn't give coin creators any supply, so that meant that people couldn't just like sell their coin immediately, and that kind of like short-termist mindset is a source of a huge amount of rugs or just like people taking tons of profit when they haven't really done anything. Um, and we were trying to proliferate this model of like, okay, it's free to launch. We don't charge you anything, but go and get attention. That's how you'll earn ownership. We also gave people a kind of built-in rewards model immediately on launch, which is just a very simple wrapper around a Uniswap V3 LP position. But if you go and get attention and volume generates on the coin, you will receive both ETH and tokens. And a lot of launch pads either only give users tokens because of the kind of tax complications of receiving tokens themselves, and they keep the ETH. And both of those things, like giving people coins for free and giving users tokens while keeping ETH, just seemed really wrong-headed to me. And so, there are many things that we want to keep working on that aren't perfect about Clanker, but people do kind of know what they're going to get when they go into the market and buy a Clanker. And that is probably one of like the most important things a launchpad can do, is acquire that, like, I don't want to say credibility, but people aren't expecting the LP to get removed. They're not expecting a creator to dump on them.
Cool. I guess one of the questions we had is kind of, creators earn fees in both, you mentioned ETH and the native token. Curious from the treasury, how does that kind of accrue back to either the Clanker token that you guys have, or does it at all?
Yeah, so today, Clanker is just a meme coin. We launched, Clanker as an experiment that we built in 5 days. I created the coin on launch because I thought that was just the best way to demonstrate how to use the product. We are currently going through a process of getting the legal structure that we want, that will help us thrive and grow. And as we kind of make advancements on that side, we'll share a lot more publicly about our roadmap and plans. I think that like one thing that we're seeing, not just with ourselves, but with a lot of Clanker founders, is that, if we're going to go out and make a pitch about how you can bootstrap with a fair launched meme coin, we need to be able to do the same. And so, we have a growing treasury with a lot of ETH in it. We also have a lot of coins. And that one thing I like about that is that we really have upside in any project that is doing well, whether it's native or banker, or these meme coins, like Base Fartcoin, that went to 90 million at all-time high recently.
Crazy.
which is crazy. It's really crazy. And, it's not something that came from us. It's like purely the people involved there. We have a few percent of the supply. I think actually with that one, we only have 1%. But, that is awesome. It means like if that coin gets listed on a centralized exchange or if there's really deep liquidity, maybe we can use that value. Mostly we haven't been touching the tokens, but I see a huge amount of value being aligned with the people who use our platform. And it's one of the ways in which we aren't a very traditional launchpad is like we're talking about individual coins, we're working with them and showing up for them, and we're holding them.
Yeah. No, makes sense. To shift topics a bit, would love to chat more about like what types of coins we're gonna see launching on Clanker in like the coming months. I think we had like an AI agent meta, as we were discussing. We might be in the start of like a creator meme coin meta.
Yeah.
Where do you see this heading and like in terms of what people are looking to create going forward?
I mean, I think people are going to launch every single kind of coin. That at least is my goal. We've been talking to some really great teams. One team, I won't say their name, but they work in the kind of creator space. And they especially have a network of kind of celebrity or content creators with many, many many followers. And they're interested in working with us to connect people or coins that are seeking to get more attention with creators that have a lot of distribution on social media networks. So I'm excited to see more of that. Like I think the attention landscape for meme coins will become a lot more competitive as our markets grow. Like today, if you launch a hot meme coin and it really gets, hundreds of millions of dollars of volume on Solana, probably, or hopefully more and more on Base, that will be like the story of the day. And I think for our markets to win, we'll need to see, a much more competitive environment for kind of achieving that. So leaning into content creators. Yeah.
I was gonna say, now that we've seen like political coins, I think that brand coins are next. Game, like I know in-game currency, your coins have been, something that the whole industry has been working towards. Um, I could say that's definitely something that we're thinking about from our side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
Well,
celebrity coins, but not like the pump and dump. I think that's also something that like Clanker has an advantage on, where everyone's seen the contract. Like it's battle tested, and it's a fair launch. So the people that create it, they get their rewards from it. But there you won't be seeing an instance where someone just completely dumps off a dev allocation.
well, yeah, it would be hard for a celeb coin to look the same as celeb coins have on Solana in the past. We do have two gaming partners that are launching, and gaming coins typically need some kind of like utility function. And so we've actually been trying to convince some of these partners to launch just like more traditional coins that users can buy. I think that that's been a huge reminder for me is just that like coins want to be bought. That's what they want to do. And they can go and help projects get attention. So we'll get more users in to, I don't know, crypto gaming or just gaming on crypto rails when these game coins are being purchased because people are bullish on a really good game and not because it's like a bunch of farmers. So we're trying to iterate around, making coins better in a lot of verticals. And yeah, you'll definitely see celeb coins, game coins coming from Clanker soon.
Yeah, make coins great again.
Exactly.
I feel like the elephant in the room, kind of, especially with this past weekend, is just like Solana, right? And a lot of liquidity there, a lot of the retail kind of onboarding there. And kind of now with kind of these new Trump coins and a lot of retail being onboarded there. How do you think about driving some of that attention, that liquidity, onto Base, onto Farcaster? If not Farcaster, maybe Twitter. Like, how do you think about that as a very Farcaster-centric project?
Man, I mean, I think like we have a long way to go. I think we really need to give Base and Farcaster a bit more of that kind of authentic trading culture that Solana has. Solana doesn't, people don't care about like what you think of them for trading. On Farcaster, I felt like a sense of shame for deploying, trading related products. Shame for having revenue, literally, for thinking so small and practical as, how much money do we earn today? So yeah, I think like building a authentic trading culture is going to be huge. I just believe in devs. Like I think about this very practically. The EVM still has this kind of developer edge. There's a lot more devs. There are more tools and everything that devs need to build. And so as we build a team and kind of attract talent and expand our capabilities, it's not as if we couldn't go and build on Solana, but to me, there's just a huge opportunity to bring that kind of culture and attention back towards the EVM, not just Base, but like the entire super chain. And
Yeah.
I don't think it will be easy, but like we had a competitor that launched kind of near when we launched and they bridged away from Base. I think because maybe like Jesse wasn't posting about them enough. And it made me like, it's not like it would be any easier on Solana to make coins go up. It might just be like that we would die there. I would rather die with more upside on Base personally.
I think that like kind of to Alex's point, right, where like there's Solana like trading, like you trade or you swap for coins and you don't really expect to do much with them after. Whereas like over here is like the Base side where they have all these existing apps out, the infra like both have the infrastructure to meet consumer, but there's a disconnect in between as to like I think a lot of this just comes down to the educational aspect of it. It's like how do I interact with contracts? I think that Solana has the wallet edge, where it's super easy to, sign a transaction and to be onboarded to do all that. Where I think that Base has the developer, a lot of developers kind of gravitate towards the EVM, and Base makes it super easy for and super cheap to develop on that chain. So I think, once people start to realize like what else can I do with these coins once I purchase them, it'll really kind of open up the possibilities.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And I definitely feel like there's a lot more like apps like from Zora to others that you can like do things with your tokens. And maybe it's like being integrated with that and letting people kind of explore it. One thing I want to talk about is kind of your first ever Clank hack in Boston, I think last week.
Oh
Tell
yeah.
me more about how that came to be. Who flew in? How was that experience? And how do you think about kind of growing this Clanker ecosystem? And it is a very natural flywheel, like you said. If you have one breakout kind of project that really achieves a lot of scale, that stands to benefit the Clanker treasury because you earn a part of that in that native token. So yeah, tell us more about kind of the folks in the ecosystem because we're going to hear from them right after this.
Yeah. Well, this happened entirely organically. It was not actually a decision we made. It was kind of made for us. Nick from Clank.fun, he said, I want to come to Boston. I'm planning a trip to the US. Can I stop and build with you for a couple of days? We love Nick. We love Clank.fun. We said yes, 100%. I think building in person really matters. It's something that Jack and I have, it's like allowed us to build trust and to get to know each other. And so once like one person was coming, other ecosystem devs started finding out and asking like, can we join you? Can we come and hack? And we said, okay, fuck it. Let's just like rent an Airbnb. Let's go big. We ended up having, let's see, we had Nick from Clank.fun. We had Derek from Native. We had McBain from ClankPad. We had Jack Wilds, a video content creator. who else? Flood,
Kark,
Kark from DJNOS, Flood from Opsys, and they all
Rish
came
from
and
Nanar,
Rish stopped
um,
by.
Cameron
Uh,
Armstrong. Who else?
Darko
Oh,
of Runner fame. Um, so like I think for us, what was amazing is seeing that there are so many people that are building like businesses with revenue on Clanker. And it's a sharp contrast to I think a lot of the like venture funded ecosystems that have are kind of like all talk, no product, no action. We're kind of the opposite. Like I bet a lot of people haven't heard of all of these founders, but they're shipping really hard. They are building very interesting products. Um, and you know, the emergence of this ecosystem has changed how we think about our product at a very fundamental level. Um, you know, one thing that we've started doing is like trying to figure out how to capture more of the volume that is generating fees through these Uniswap pools. We want to be more opinionated about that. We want to build better execution environments and you know, hiring for this. So Clank Hack has had a huge influence on us, and it was also just really fun to like hang with all these dudes. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to bring them in. I feel like they could probably tell you more in some ways than we could because I'm sure they're all very excited to chat about it too.
Yeah, I'm stoked that we're gonna have both Clank.fun, Nick from there, and Derek from Native chat with us. So they'll be part of the podcast. Okay, awesome. It's been so great to hear from you and to learn more about Clanker and the ecosystem. Where can listeners find you and learn more?
Follow Clanker on Base on X. Follow at Jack Dishman on X. Follow at Proxy Studio. But I think also like Warpcast, we're a Farcaster project unapologetically. We think that the open social graph is kind of changing how people build consumer crypto applications. And we just want to bring over a lot more users into this place that has, influenced us so much. So join the Purple app. Come on over. I think it costs a couple bucks. I'll pay for it if you want, like literally. But yeah, follow us, Proxy Studio and Jack and at Dish on Farcaster.
I love it. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for
Thank
having us
you.
on.
Thank
It was
you.
awesome.
That was an awesome conversation with the Clanker folks. As we can see, crypto has proven to be an amazing form of capital creation for ideas, whether that be for projects, memes, or experiences. And in this world, Clanker has become almost like a launch pad for creative ideas and the funding of it. Alex and Jack even mentioned a company that even bootstrapped their seed round off just Clanker fees, which is amazing to see.
So for our next segment of this podcast, we're bringing on two Clanker ecosystem teams, Native and Clank.fun, to talk about what they're building. So without further ado, let's hear from Derek, the founder of Native.
So Derek, it's great to have you for this mini part of the Clanker ecosystem. Tell us more about Native, how you started, what inspired you to build within this ecosystem versus kind of other token launchers and kind of your journey into Farcaster and this world over the last couple of months.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me, Winnie, Amanda. Great to be here. And I cannot say enough about the Clanker ecosystem. I first kind of started following Proxy's work, I don't know, it's like 8, 9 months ago, within the DGen ecosystem and then Proxy Swap, etc. And I think we've always kind of been like-minded on a lot of things. And so when I was working on Native, which started as a side project, initially I think the pieces are there for us to build an automated economy, which is fundamentally what Native is. It's just wrapped in this kind of game simulator, kind of ecosystem. But the pieces are there, and Clanker was immediately apparent to be one of those pieces for me, where it abstracted away a lot of the token stuff that I wanted to build anyway. Like how do we, build positive sum environments? How do we make automated token deployments easier, etc. What Proxy and Dish have built along those lines was an easy, natural fit for me. And so when I got to the point where I wanted to, kind of start building that out. I essentially late one Friday night, launched the native token via Clanker. It was as easy as a cast, and the rest is history.
I love that. And I almost feel like something we talked about earlier is like a lot of founders have almost like bootstrapped their seed round with the fees that they've earned from kind of launching their token, especially if you're able to like build momentum and hype around it and have early supporters. And I think I actually saw that Native earn maybe more at this point, but like 17, 18 ETH off just like trading fees. Tell me more about that, how that's been like. How is this like new era of like ICOs almost in some ways, but like a bit better, like shaped out for Native and how you've thought about the project?
Yeah, well, first of all, Native is very clearly a utility token. This is not financial advice. Do your own research. It's not an ICO. That said, yeah, I mean, 17, 18 ETH might be a slight exaggeration, but it's not too far off the mark. What it has allowed me to do is pre-product find market fit, right? And so, like, people very clearly, by nature of the price action, want what I'm building, which is both, super humbling, but also very exciting to the point where now, because of the Clanker ecosystem fees, I'm able to work on native full time. And so, I had a company that didn't quite make it to, past the Series A stage last year, and so it was a very like, kind of easy pathway into my next thing. Because of the Clinker ecosystem, and that next thing obviously is native. Being justified by kind of market demand, which has generated those fees.
And you mentioned that you're building an automated economy. Can you talk a bit more around like what's coming and like how this intersects with like the emerging kind of AI agent human social economy?
Yeah, for sure. So, right now, AI agents, at least in the base ecosystem, right, virtuals, et cetera, um, they they're basically like really fun creators, right? So they're like Twitter accounts or Farcaster accounts. Occasionally they do have some really cool utility, right? Clanker is a really good example of that with TokenBot. Banker is another really cool example of that. But by and large, they're acting as kind of automated creators or automated influencers, advice givers in the sense of like AI XBT, etc. Occasionally you have like some DAOs, but I think there's a lot more kind of capabilities there, especially not just in single player mode where you have one agent at a time, but in what are being called swarms. I'm not a huge fan of that. It kind of evokes Michael Crichton's Prey to me, but um, the kind of network effects of agents, I think very few people are talking or even thinking about. And so one of those things for native is what happens when you have a digital city and 80% of the citizens within that digital city are actually agentic. And they are able to act within the city just like you and I act within, I'm here in the beautiful city of Nashville. I go grab coffee, I'll grab tacos, I'll listen to music, go grab a cocktail, whatever it may be. Um, visit a bookstore. And all of my activity as a human is generating economic activity for the city of Nashville. What if you take that model and translate it to agents, where you have 10,000, 25,000, 100,000 agents within the context of a city, all of which are exchanging economic, value, primarily represented via tokens, and in this case, represented via clankers. And so, when I go buy a cup of coffee, that is me exchanging one token, in most time it's USD, for another token, right? Dollar sign caffeine or whatever it may be. And as someone existing in meat space, I can drink that cup of coffee. For an agent, they don't need to drink the cup of coffee, but the exchange can still happen. And so what I'm building at scale is actually testing, that economic activity generation automatically between agents. And so today, as of right now, I'm actually announcing this later this week, probably before the podcast comes out. But I have agents currently running that are buying, selling, trading, launching clankers. And generating fees. Just in testing, they've generated a few $100s of fees without kind of human intervention or interaction, right? So what happens when you get 100,000 of these, kind of native agentic citizens within an economy, exchanging value, and those fees are being generated and can benefit actual human holders. That's really exciting to me, because it's kind of an automated way for people to generate income, with a digital business, much like people generate income via Shopify or YouTube channels or whatever it may be. Except in this world, it's running a digital coffee house or a bookstore or a wine shop or cornering the bottled water market within the city of Native, whatever it may be. That's a pretty exciting kind
I
of
love
endeavor for
that.
me. Yeah.
I love that. How can folks who are on Farcaster or outside Farcaster get started within the native ecosystem and economy? Like, how, if I was a new user kind of trying to explore it, what should I do? I have my native passport. What's next? How do I claim and join a city? How do I set up my little shop? How do I sell oat milk lattes?
Yeah, for sure. So as of right now, those product experiences are coming, right? The next step for me is actually launching Dot Studio, which is a super consumery, productized way to launch dots. And so you'll be able to sponsor dots, make dots your own, right? So if you want to run that digital, coffee shop selling oat milk lattes or whatever it may be, you give your dots a personality. You tell them, hey, you're a barista in the city of Native, you work at this place, etc. And so that's kind of the next step. This is a very kind of progressive, if you will, very linear kind of roadmap for me, with dots being the next thing. So first order of business was, let's identify the human actors within the city of Native. That's accomplished via passports. So as of right now, you can go to native.fun, buy native, and mint a passport. And that identifies you as a human actor within the city of Native. Next are the agentic actors, which is what I'm actively working on right now, which are the dots. And those are agents that humans can sponsor, give personality to, etc. Subsequent to that, later this quarter, I'll be working on homes, which is digital property within the city of Native. And then finally, and last but certainly not least, is the UI to actually tie all of these pieces together. So digital property plus the human kind of element plus the agentic elements of dots will be tied together in this kind of game-like, simulator-like interface that will be pretty fun to play and toy around with.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on Digitized Spotlight, Derek.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Again, thanks for having me.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. It's great to have you on for this segment of the podcast. I guess to get started, maybe tell us a little bit more about kind of how you got involved with the Clanker ecosystem, what motivated you kind of build there. Are you kind of like a Farcaster, OG that spent a lot of time there? And yeah, maybe we can get started there.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I've been on Farcaster for, man, it's been maybe 2.5 years now. Back in the day when Dan Romero would just DM people to join, I was
Yeah.
kind of part of that group. I had to DM him to get an invite. So yeah, I've been around in Farcaster for a long time. I'm also an ex-founder. I used to work in crypto social. So we were doing network states, technology for DAOs and ecosystems who wanted to meet up in person. So that's how, I got involved with Farcaster, always excited about Web3 social. And Clanker has been honestly like one of the biggest waves in the past year or so. It was definitely something I was involved in as a trader, getting involved in many of the tokens that were being launched. And I realized kind of early on that, I thought that this could blow up way beyond Farcaster, especially with the creator fee splits. That was something that I've never seen before. And, it's a way for creators to make money from their tokens without being it being at the expense of the traders, so without having to sell on the market. So I kind of was thinking about it in two ways. One, that this could be bigger than Farcaster, because whilst I love Farcaster, most of the users are on Twitter, and they didn't have a good interface for those users. So, the way you discover tokens was mostly through the feed. So I thought, it would be cool to build something on top of Clanker. So in about a day, I hacked out the first version of Clank.fun, registered the domain, launched it. It got kind of a great response. And so I just kept building on top of it. And I
Yeah.
guess the cool part was that there was never really, I never had to ask the guys to build on top of
Yeah.
Clanker. It was just completely open data. So
I love that. How much? I'm actually very curious because I like love Farcaster and I discover most of my Clanker tokens on Farcaster directly. Curious, like how many people actually discover on that versus Clank.fun? Do you have any metrics to kind of understand, non-Farcaster users, are they mostly using Clank.fun? How are they discovering it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like we originally launched on Farcaster, and then I kind of reluctantly dropped it on X. And then within days, basically 90% of our traffic has been from X. And right now we have about 2,000 daily users. I think at any given points, when I open up my analytics, I've got between like 5 to 15, sometimes as many as 40 people trading on Clank.fun. Most of those come outside of Farcaster, and we've had about I think let me check. It's been 60,000 unique people discovering clankers via Clank.fun.
And beyond discovery, and I also see that you can launch a coin. Are there any sort of features you have in mind for the roadmap for 2025?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the biggest things that I think about every day is how to empower creators. It would be great to bring more creators into Base, maybe people who've never even used the blockchain before, right? The fact that you can launch a coin and then create content and make money from trading volume, that's a big opportunity for many creators just to make money. That's like one of the big struggles, right? Is how do we get creators on the internet paid? So I want to build ways to actually like build out your brands on Clank.fun. Imagine, publishing videos and having gated lock contents based on holdings of your token. So, this could be an opportunity to create like the on-chain Patreon. To me, that's really exciting. That's the direction we're moving in January and February. Certainly, there will be features drops in January, which will just help people do that better. Speaking with creators who already have clankers, like Jack Wilds with the Must clanker, which is pretty awesome. And he's really excited to do this for his own content, but also for his partner, who's a makeup artist. And we were just talking very casually about it, but I think there's a big opportunity to bring on people who don't even know what a clanker is, don't even know what a token is, and just help them create great content and make money and grow the ecosystem.
Yeah, I feel like Trump this weekend really opened the floodgates for that. So I feel like now, this new generation of career tokens is very top of mind. Do you think you'll build that kind of like token gated streaming, features directly on Clank.fun, or will you work with someone like a stream or another like social app to kind of integrate that in somehow? How do you think about, both partnerships and kind of what you want to build in-house?
Yeah, I mean, we've been kind of partner first the whole time. Like we are just built on top of Clanker, right? So already speaking with Stream about this, I think it would be really cool to have that streaming functionality that, Pump Fun had for a little while. I think they didn't moderate it quite well enough, so it kind of blew up in the wrong way. But clearly there's value in that. And so we're speaking with Stream right now. Haven't done the integration yet, but looking forward to doing one and being able to explore all sorts of different ways to showcase content. So whether it's streaming, whether it's kind of private gated content, or whether it's just amplifying and having a way to almost bump your token based on engagement with your public content, whether it's on X, on Instagram, all the different platforms.
Yeah, I think the thing about kind of Clanker versus Pump that I think a lot about is how on Clanker it's very tied to your ENS is very tied to your Farcaster ID. And even if you're a non, you need to have like a history and a certain NANAR score. So it's almost like in some ways that moderation is like almost being done by that versus on Pump, it's just like the wild, wild west, right? You don't
Yeah.
know who it is. It's kind of crazy.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the big advantages of having the Farcaster graph tied into launches. On Clank.fun and on other partner integrations, right? You don't necessarily have that. So what we're trying to do is make it easier for people to do their research on Clank.fun. So this is one of the features we're going to be dropping where you can basically add your own socials, and those will be fully verified, right? So you connect your X accounts, and it's actually your X account on the platform. So we'll be making it easier for people to launch and promote their clankers, even if they don't have a Farcaster account, but still bring that same kind of, DYOR, I guess, information that's valuable for figuring out whether something's worth investing in based on trust.
That makes sense. And then in terms of value accrual, can you talk a bit more about kind of the structure for Clank.fun?
When you say value accrual, what do you mean?
Like how does Clank.fun accrue value versus let's say Clanker versus creators? Like kind of where are the economics going?
Yeah, I mean, the economics right now are pretty interesting, I think. That's what makes it easier for us to be two separate teams. So for tokens launched on Clank.fun, the creator gets gets a fee split. Then we, or as in me right now, but Clank.fun gets a cut of that as well, which goes towards development costs and other things. And then Clanker gets take on top of that as well. We have the Clank.fun token currently that is gating token launching. So you need to hold Clank.fun in order to launch tokens on Clank.fun. In the future, there will be deeper integrations with the token as well. But basically, the way it works is, we're going to be getting more and more attention on the platform, and Clank.fun is the platform's token. So that's where I think a lot of the value is going to come from. Of course, we will find ways to do deeper integrations in the future, but currently the focus is just on getting better retention, more people going on Clank.fun and trading there. That's kind of the number one lever I'm pulling, just to get more attention on the platform, and then further integrations with the token will be possible.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been great.
Going on.
Yeah, thank you so much for hosting me. This has been really great.
Thanks for joining us as we chat with Alex, Nick, and Derek. It's been interesting to learn more about Clanker and teams building in the ecosystem.
Agreed. It's been awesome to hear about Clanker's origin story that started on a boat and now it's become almost an ecosystem with 20 plus projects, and how that's kind of captivated the attention of creators and builders within not just Farcaster, but also on Base. Follow us as we chat with more founders building at the intersection of consumer and crypto. Bye.
Bye.